Parajikacharya Astatasata Sishimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnu Pad Padamamsa Parajikacharya Astatasata Sishimad. Sringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Premsiko Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai. Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. The Divine Lordship Sri Sri Rukmini Dwarkadis Ki Jai. The Divine Lordship Sri Sri Jagannath Baladev Srimati Subhadra Ki Jai. The Divine Lordship Sri Sri Gaurnitai Ki Jai. Gaur Pramananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the Summa devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Summa devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the Summa devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavat Purana. This is Canto 2, the Cosmic Manifestation, and it's Chapter 3 entitled Pure Devotional Service, the Change in Heart. And today we're going to read text number 13. Shonaka Uvacha Iti Abhivyaritam Raja Iti Abhivyaritam Raja Nisamya Bharatarshabhya Nisamya Bharatarshabha Kim Anyat Prishtavan Bhuyo Kim Anyat Prishtavan Bhuyo Vayasakim Rishim Kavim Vayasakim Rishim Kavim Shonakavacha Ityabhivyaritam Raja Nisamya Bharatarshabha Kimanyat Prishtavan Bhuyo Vayasakim Rishim Kavim Shonakavacha Ityabhivaritam Raja Nisamya Bharatarshabha Kimanyat Prishtavan Bhuyo Vayasakim Rishim Kavim Shankavacha Raja Dashabha Anya Vistapa Monya Samadim Asim Moklim Tabya Vitaraja Samya Bharatashabhya Ane Sekshaba Rajo Sene Sekpadim Vaishnavis Sonika Vacha Ityabhivyaritam Raja Nisamya Bharatashabha Kamatya Pristavan Bhuyo Vayasakim Rishim Kavim Shonaka Uvacha Shonika said, Iti, thus, Abhivyaritam, all that was spoken, Raja, the king, Nishamya, by hearing, Bhartarishaba, Maharaj Parikshit, Kim, what? Anyat, more. Prishtavan, did he inquire from him? Bhuya, again. Vayasakim, unto the son of Vyasadeva. Rishim, one who is well versed. Kavim, poetic. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Shonika said, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? Please repeat. Shonika said, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? Purport. A pure devotee of the Lord automatically develops all godly qualities, and some of the prominent features of those qualities are as follows. He is kind, peaceful, truthful, equable, faultless, magnanimous, mild, clean, non-possessive, a well-wisher to all, satisfied, surrendered to Krishna without hankering, simple, fixed, self-controlled, a balanced eater, sane, mannerly, prideless, grave, sympathetic, friendly, poetic, expert and silent. Out of these 26 prominent features of a devotee, as described by Krishnadas Kaviraj in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, the qualification of being poetic is especially mentioned herein in relation to Sukadeva Goswami. The presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam by his recitation is the highest poetic contribution. He was a self-realized learned sage. In other words, he was a poet amongst the sages. Wow. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksus Unmilitamena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayam Upagadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatubhishta kripasindhu bhavita. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Namo Namaha. Translation again. Shonika said, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Pariksit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said? So today's class could be entitled, Good Qualities. And these are very important. Srila Prabhupada explains that these naturally come to a person who becomes a devotee. So we'll talk about these qualities and how we can attain them. Can you hear me okay? Everybody? Yeah? Okay, so for some reason my voice seems muffled. So this chapter is very nice. It's described the change in heart, pure devotional service. So this is the whole process of Krishna consciousness, is to change the heart. How? By engaging in pure devotional service. So in this particular chapter, if you go back to text number 10, it says a person who has a broader intelligence, whether he be full of material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the personality of Godhead. So whatever you want, it comes from Krishna. So this is what he's explaining to him in the previous verses up to 10. And today's verse is explaining how they're so anxious to hear from Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who is highly learned. And it's so nice to hear from him because it's very poetic. It's wonderful to hear. Very nice. So he said, please just continue hearing. We want to hear these topics because they result in the discussion of Lord Hari. And this could only be discussed in the association of devotees. So then Sukadeva Goswami is described here in text number 16 of this chapter. It's a very short chapter. It's actually only 25 verses. But it's very potent. And he says there, Sukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of the Lord Krishna. So there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers in the company of great devotees. So here and then he describes here, this is the whole purpose of our time, because by the rising and setting of the sun, it decreases the duration of our life. This is text number 17. Except for one who utilizes his time to discuss the topics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he uses a really nice contrast here. Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses, praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna, the deliverer from evils. So here we're getting a hint how to develop these good qualities. You know, it's described that people basically are like animals, and they're very sinful, they're evil. So this is the process of how to get free from that. He goes on to say that one who has not listened to the messages of the prowess of the marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead, has not sung or chanted loudly the worldly songs about the Lord, is to be considered to possess ear holes and holes of snakes and tongue like the tongue of a frog. So it's very interesting. So he also gives more analogies how even if you're wearing a turban, you're a great king. If you don't use that turban to bow down to the Supreme Lord, then it's just like a weight. It's just like a decoration on a dead body. And if your eyes don't see the beautiful forms of the personality of Godhead and his qualities, describing them, then they're considered to be like the print on the peacock feathers. Those eyes, there's eyes on the peacock feather, but they cannot even see. And if our legs don't come to the temple, or we do, service to the Lord, then it's considered to be like tree trunks. And if at any time we haven't received the dust of the lotus feet of pure devotees on our head, then it's considered to be a dead body. So here it's describing the importance of the devotees and the association and the importance of engaging in devotional service. Because when you engage in devotional service, then our hearts should melt. But he says here that the heart is still framed, which in spite of chanting the holy name with concentration, we do not change in ecstasy, and tears don't fall from our eyes, and our hairs don't stand on end. So he ends the chapter by saying, O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please therefore explain to us as it is spoken by the great devotee Sukadeva Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. So very nice. Very good chapter here. So this particular quality that's described in our particular verse today is kavim. He is very like a poet. What he describes is very nice. And this reminds me of, in the chapter 21 of Canto 4, we hear about King Prithu. And Prithu Maharaj also, he was very much glorified and praised because of his wonderful way he spoke. And his example was very much encouraged to be followed by everyone, all over. So in the purport to text number 9 of that chapter, Prabhupada says, every executive head of the state should follow the footsteps of Maharaj Prithu in ruling over his kingdom, regardless of whether the chief executive is a king or president, or whether the government is monarchical or democratic. This process is so perfect that if followed, everyone will become happy, and thus will be very easy for all to execute devotional service to the personality of Godhead. So here, this devotee, this king, has all these good qualities. So they should be followed by everyone, kings, presidents, everyone. In fact, in text number 10 of this chapter, it describes here that Prithu Maharaj was so great in his activities and magnanimous, this is one of the qualities of a devotee, in his method of ruling, that all the kings and demigods on the various planets still follow his footsteps. So just see, not only on this planet, but all over the universe, they're following his footsteps. So it's very nicely described. And Vidura actually is wanting to hear about King Prithu because he wanted devotees to hear over and over again so that they can understand the example that he's giving to all these kings and executive heads. And he's saying that it should be included to hear repeatedly about Prithu Maharaj's activities so that they can rule very nicely the citizens. But he says here, unfortunately, at the present moment, no one cares to hear about Prithu Maharaj or to follow in his footsteps. What to speak about hearing about Sukadeva Goswami and what he has to say. Therefore, no nation in the world is either happy or progressive in spiritual understanding, although that is the sole aim and objective of human life. So also in this chapter, it describes that Maharaj Prithu's speech. He was performing sacrifices, and before the sacrifice, he gave a very beautiful speech, and it's described that it was very beautiful, his speech. It was full of metaphorical language. It was clearly understandable, and it was very pleasing to hear. And his words are all very grave and certain. And it appears when he spoke, he expressed his personal realization of the absolute truth in order to benefit everybody who was present. So here again, we're hearing so many qualities of a devotee. He was grave. He was, very, very knowledgeable. He had realization. He was intelligent. So this is what is very nicely described by this great king and how he describes, in his speech so nicely so people can understand and grow. So actually, this particular verse was given on May 30th, not too long ago. Actually, it was May 30th, 1972 in Los Angeles. So Prabhupada gave a class on this exact verse. And it's a very nice lecture So I'll just kind of unpack it a little bit and just talk about some main points that kind of relate and what struck me. So Prabhupada starts off saying that a Vaishnava, which is Sukadeva Goswami, is very learned and poetic. So he says these are the qualifications of a Vaishnava. And he says, as you know, and as he describes in the purport, there's 26 qualifications mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one of these is Kavi, poet. And then he talks about all the different Vaishnavas in our disciplic succession. And going back like over 200 years, what to speak about the time of King Prithu, they're all full of these good qualities. And Prabhupada mentions different names of all these different ones, and Lord Chaitanya and devotees next to his time. So, and today is, what is it, the disappearance day of Sri Srivas Pandit Prabhu. Disappearance. So he's one of these great souls also. So we can follow in his footsteps, who had all these good qualities. So we'll try to bring in a little bit about him also if we have time. So Prabhupada mentions here that so a Vaishnava devotee of the Lord is expected to have all good qualities. The more you become advanced in Krishna consciousness, all the good qualities that were covered by the cloud of Maya will come out. Good qualities are already there. Just like Krishna has got 64 good qualities in full. And we are minute particles of Krishna. Therefore, we have got also these good qualities in minute particles. But these good qualities are now covered. Just like fire is covered by the ashes, so it does not act. Although there is fire, but when it is covered with ashes, it does not act. So Prabhupada describes here how we have these qualities also, because Krishna is like fire, we're like sparks, so we're also fire. But sometimes because we have these qualities in minute quantity, we think, oh, I'm God now. You see. But they do not know, Prabhupada says, the qualitative difference. That we forget. We can say we are God, but we are a teeny God, not the supreme God. So he describes the analogy of the flame again. So in order to ignite again our fiery quality, we must go back to the original fire. Then the fiery quality, the brilliant fiery quality, will again be exhibited. This is the Krishna consciousness movement. So this is what we're trying to do. So Prabhupada continues in his lecture here in another part. So with the advancement of our spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, we should verify whether these qualifications are becoming manifest in my person. Just like when you eat, you understand that you're getting strength and your appetite is being satisfied. Nobody requires to ask certificate. You can understand yourself. So we should be seeing these. Are we developing these? So Prabhupada continues. Progress of bhakti means one side we shall be detached, and another side we shall increase our attachment. So these are the qualifications. So this is what we're going to learn, what to be attached to and what not to. So Srila Prabhupada, and he says here, he goes into describing these qualities in his lecture. So he describes the first one is kind. A devotee is kind. And he uses the example of one of his sannyasis, Rupanuga Goswami. He said even though he had a nice wife, a nice child, but being kind to humanity, he has accepted sannyas. This is kindness. He gave up his homely comfort for that. So this is nicely described. So Prabhupada actually mentions, he brings in the 6 Goswamis about how they are also very, very detached and like this. So there's some nice quotes that Prabhupada brings out in his Dharma, the Way of Transcendence. And here he says here that Tva Turnama Sesha Mandala Patishrenim Sadatuchavat. Although they were big leaders of society, they quickly gave it all up as very insignificant. Then what do? Bhutva Dina Ganeshaka Karunaya Kopina Kantashritu. For the benefit of the whole human society, they became renounced mendicants and taught Krishna consciousness. This is what they're learned, so they teach. So Prabhupada continues there. Here's the words Dina Gana mean, the general mass of poor people, Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, saw that the people were very poor because they did not know the aim of life or the means of achieving it. One is actually poor who is poor in transcendental knowledge. Material poverty is no consideration. That may come or go, and one has to tolerate. Tam stitiksha bharata. And even if you have enough money, you will still be unhappy. If you are poor in transcendental knowledge, that's if you're unhappy if you're poor in transcendental knowledge. Therefore, transcendental knowledge is real wealth. That is why in India, the Brahmanas, those who are rich in knowledge because they understood the Supreme Brahman, Krishna, were traditionally respected even by kings. So this is very nicely described. So Prabhupada goes on describing how people are so ignorant and transmigrating because they don't not know this transcendental knowledge. So the transcendental devotees go out and try to give them knowledge. So Prabhupada again in the perfection of, or path of perfection, he quotes the 6 Goswamis again, how they're wearing their loincloth and they accepted the poorest way of life, even though they were practically on the level of kings. But they gave it up because they found something even more valuable. And how were they able to give it up? Because they were absorbed in the ocean of the loving affairs of the gopis, in their love for Krishna. So it's very nicely described there. So there's that verse Prabhupada's quoting from the Sri Sri Sada Goswami Astaka 4. Tvaktva turnam asesha mandala pati srinim sadatuchavat bhutva dina kaseko karunaya kopina katashrito gopi bhava rasamritabdi lahari kola magno muhur vande rupa sanatano raghuyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. So this is a very wonderful prayer. It's offering obeisances to the 6 Goswamis, namely Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who kicked off all association of aristocracy as insignificant. In order to deliver the poor conditioned souls, they accepted loincloths, treating themselves as mendicants. But they're always merged in the ecstatic ocean of the gopis' love for Krishna and bathe always and repeatedly in the waves of that ocean. So here, that's one example. Prabhupada goes on about being kind. This is what the Goswamis are. They're very kind. So just for being compassionate to all these fallen souls, they work hard to help them, become free from this ignorance. So Prabhupada describes some of these he doesn't elaborately describe like kindness, but we'll mention some more that he mentions in this lecture. Peaceful. A Vaishnava is never turbulent, but the demons, they create disturbance. Truthful. A Vaishnava knows the ultimate truth. What is that? Krishna. Therefore he is truthful. Equable. Does anybody know what that means? It's one that's not easily disturbed or angered, is calm, is even-tempered, doesn't get angry so easily. And Prabhupada goes on, he says, he has no distinction. Oh, here's a man, here's an animal. The animal has no soul, but the man has a soul. So he's saying that we see distinctions. We just see our own. We're only kind to our own men, not the outsiders. So this is very interesting, how people only become kind to their own people, not even outsiders. We see even in our political arena how we have a party, say like the Republican Party, they're just interested in their party. And they have like a 10-year propaganda to just be focused on a party to win over another party instead of focusing on trying to help the citizens of that country. This is going to show you that they have distinctions. This is not a good quality. So faultless. You cannot find any fault in a devotee. He's faultless. Magnanimous, we mentioned that about King Prithu. His thinking of all living entities. There is no distinction. Oh, I'm American, I shall think for the Americans. I'm Indian, I shall think for... No, magnanimous. And who is the most magnanimous of them all? Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Premapadayate. This is Lord Chaitanya. And his devotees are the most magnanimous. And then he describes mild and meek. Clean, he's always clean. Because they have surpassed the stage of Brahminical life. Therefore they must be very clean. Always cleaning cloth, taking bath, cleaning the kitchen, the temples. Quotes that verse that we chant every day. Shri Vigrahada Nada Nityanana Shingaratan Mandira Majanara. So the temple should be always very clean and bright. Another quality, non-possessive. Materialistic persons are always trying to possess something. They want more and more, but a Vaishnava simply, he just accepts what's necessary. And Prabhupada says, just like we don't keep furniture in our houses or places like that. He said, we just lie down on the floor. But we just like, plain living, high thinking. And another quality, well-wisher to all. Just like Srila Prabhupada, he was the well-wisher, right? He signed all his letters. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is what Prabhupada did. He defines well-wisher. Just like we're advising to all our students that save your country. This is what Prabhupada did. He saved the world practically. They are becoming hippies, is it not? The future is very gloom. Try to save them. This is what a leader does. He gives hope to the citizens, especially the devotee. They give hope. A leader knows where they're going. They can see the future. They could give them direction. They guide them. So this is what Srila Prabhupada did. He guided the world. So he's always thinking how to make people happy. He doesn't exploit them, just trying to become happy himself. But he wants to help them. He wants to help them in this life and the next. Another quality, satisfied in any condition. Prabhupada used the example, not that I must have these things, then I'll be satisfied. Otherwise, I'm going to leave the temple. No, Prabhupada laughs. This is not Vaishnava qualifications. If you live with the devotees, even if you're not satisfied, any condition, you should be satisfied. Because as soon as you leave the company, you become again rogues, again demon. So this is just the opposite. That the devotees become all full of bad qualities. So he said, at least you'll be saved if you keep the company of the pure devotees. If you give up the company, then again, you become a rogue and a demon. Therefore, you must be satisfied in whatever condition. Whatever Krishna has given, that's all right. Satisfied. And then another quality, surrender to Krishna. And he says, that can be achieved only when one is fully surrendered to Krishna. Is that satisfaction comes if you're fully surrendered to Krishna. So, one should think, but then why should I bother myself if I'm thinking I am suffering? It is also Krishna's grace. We should take it like that. Even in my consideration, I'm in position which is apparently suffering, we must accept as Krishna's grace. All right, I have surrendered to Krishna. If Krishna has given me suffering, that's all right. That is surrender. Oh, I have surrendered to Krishna, and surrendering to Krishna, and now Krishna has given me suffering. Oh, I leave Krishna consciousness. That is not surrender. Surrender means any condition. You remain surrender. That is surrender. Not that I put my own concoction, and if you satisfy me, then I shall. That is business. That is not surrender. So that's surrender, any condition. Another quality, without hankering. What is the hankering? Why shall I be hankering? I know Krishna will give me protection. Otherwise, why shall I hanker? Simple, no duplicity. Simple, the worldly men. They are duplicitous, speaking something, cheater. That is one of the qualifications of a materialistic man. He must be cheater. There are 4 defects. Commit mistakes, to be illusion, to become cheater, and imperfect senses. This is called material life. conditioned life. He must commit mistakes, however, a great philosopher. So here he describes mannerly, prideless, grave. Grave. So this is that famous quote where Prabhupada says grave. Grave means don't talk nonsense. Don't talk nonsense. Don't waste time. If you got time, chant Hare Krishna. But don't talk nonsense. So that's very not always quoted Srila Prabhupada. That's called gravity. And sympathetic. We should be very much sympathetic. If some of our fellow men fall sick, we must take care of him, give him help. Because after all, we've got this body. Sometimes we may fall sick. So one, we should be sympathetic and friendly. Everyone friend, as Krishna's friend of everyone. Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. So if we are Krishna's representative, how can be enemy of anyone else? I must be friendly. Friendly. And then he ends with poetic again, which is the verse. So his poetic is expert and is silent. He's like a silent worker, is not advertising, silent. There was a book where it says, lead without title. We don't need a title to be a leader. And these are the qualifications of a Vaishnava. If you want to become a leader, we have to develop our foundation to be a leader. And the foundation is these qualities of a devotee, of a Vaishnava. And Prabhupada in the purport refers to the Chaitanya Charitamrita where this is quoted. And it's so nice to describe there that it says a Vaishnava is one who develops all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods. Can you believe that? So if one has unflinching faith in Krishna, then all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifest. But if you don't have devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you have no good qualifications because you're on the mental platform, that manaratena, a mental concoction. So that was a nice verse. That's right before they quotes all these transcendental qualities of a Vaishnava. And he describes that they can't be fully explained, but he's going to just give some of the important qualities. And this is that verse that devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild and clean. They are without material possessions, and they perform welfare work for everyone. They are peaceful, surrendered to Krishna and desireless. They are indifferent to material acquisitions and are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 bad qualities, lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, and they are not inebriated. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, and without false prestige. They are friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. So we're just bringing this home again and again, that these are the qualities of a devotee. He's always tolerant, he's forbearing, he's very merciful, to everyone. They're well-wishers to everybody like that. Nobody's their enemies. These are their decorations. So he describes here that the verdict of all the Shastras is that great personalities that service to a pure devotee, that serve a pure devotee, that's the path of liberation. But if we associate with materialistic persons attached to material enjoyment and women, that is the path to darkness. So those are actually devotees, are broad-minded, equal to everyone, and very peaceful. And they never become angry and are friendly to all living entities. So he's going to the opposite extreme now, that if you associate with devotees, you develop all these good qualities. But that's the root of our devotion. But even if we associate with non-devotees, then the opposite happens. So he says this is very essential that we associate with devotees. So this is very valuable. So in this particular section here, he also mentions here that this is the greatest treasure of the human being, is to associate with devotees. And because it's very pleasing to hear them speak. But it also mentions that a Vaishnava should avoid the association of ordinary people. Common people are very much materially attached, especially women. Vaishnavas should also avoid the company of those who are not devotees of Lord Krishna. And he says here that if you do associate with worldly people, then you'll be devoid of what? Truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all opportunities. One should not at any time associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of knowledge of self-realization and who is no more than a toy animal in the hands of women. The illusion and bondage that occur to a man after attachment to any other object are not as complete as that resulting from association with women or men who are too much attached to women. So doesn't that seem like a contradiction? The qualities of a Vaishnava is very merciful to everybody. But now it's saying you shouldn't associate with these coarse fools. And then he mentions women especially. So Srila Prabhupada was asked on a morning walk, Prabhupada, isn't it true that women are the source of all our fall down? And Prabhupada didn't answer. And he asked him, he's pushing Prabhupada like 3 or 4 times, and Prabhupada didn't answer. So then when he came to the temple, he walked in the temple room and there was Malati and Palika and all these different devotees that were cleaning the temple, cooking for the devotees. And Prabhupada said, yes, associates with worldly minded women, you cause a fall down. But you associate with these women, you go back home, back to Godhead. So just see, the devotee doesn't make distinctions. Everyone can develop these saintly qualities, and you could become, a devotee of Krishna. You could become a Vaishnava, and you could have this mercy for everyone. So this is so nicely described all throughout Srila Prabhupada's books, how we should become advanced in Krishna consciousness. There was a whole section I was going to talk about, but it's in the 11th canto, chapter 29. It's all about bhakti yoga. And again, he's bringing this thing that another extreme he's describing here, that we should disregard ridicule of one's companions. One should give up the body conception and its accompanying embarrassment. One should offer obeisances before all, even the dogs, the outcasts, the cows, and the asses falling flat on the ground. So just see again that we have to have this vision of seeing Krishna everywhere. And this is the whole process of this chapter, is that we have to see Krishna everywhere in everyone. And we do that by practicing this process of offering obeisances to everyone and trying to see Krishna everywhere. So maybe to just kind of wrap up the class here. So these good qualities, should we think, they automatically develop in devotees? So therefore, I shouldn't really do anything. If I become a devotee, then they'll come. So just say that a spiritual master tells his disciple that, okay, you need to work on these qualities, like you need to become more humble, you have to control your mind, you have to do so many things. Then he says, Guru Maharaj, I don't really need to work on these. I mean, I'm just performing devotional service, so, I'll just get these qualities automatically. That's not recommended to tell your spiritual master, actually. But we have to actually work on them. It's very important that we have to actually try to develop these qualities. There's a nice story. We're listening to a lecture by Giriraj Swami. He's giving so many nice lectures online now. And he was using this example of, what's his name? Vishnu Jan Swami. And someone asked him, Vishnu Jan is always very enthusiastic, right? And he said, someone asked him, how are you always so enthusiastic? And he said, well, sometimes when I don't feel enthusiastic, I just act like I'm enthusiastic. And then when I'm pretending, I'm acting enthusiastic, the devotees see me and they actually become genuinely enthusiastic. So they're enthusiastic genuinely. And then when I see them, then I genuinely become enthusiastic. So we have to practice. It's not like, okay, I'm not humble, but we could practice being humble. So this is very important, that if we act on these good qualities, then they'll develop. So this is important to understand that, and all these good qualities develop. No, we have to work on it. It takes effort. So Srila Prabhupada mentions in a lecture, I'll just end with this. He tells us what our mission is. And this is what he says. Let's see, we'll find it here. This is from a lecture Srila Prabhupada gave. And he says, so we have to educate these classes of men. Svavid Vraha Utsarakara, these classes of men, dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. The world is full of these classes of men, and you have to educate them. Your responsibility is very great. You have to make an ass a devotee, a camel a devotee, a dog a devotee, a hog a devotee. This is your mission. So, just to say something about Srivas Pandit, he was such a great devotee of Krishna. He completely surrendered to Krishna. That even if his own son passed away during a kirtan, and he explained, he told his wife, be quiet. Don't interrupt Krishna. Don't interrupt the kirtan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If you do, I'm going to jump in the Ganges and commit suicide. Because he didn't want to disturb the Sankirtan. So Lord Chaitanya eventually found out after the kirtan. He asked him, what happened? Something I sensed was wrong. And he goes, oh, there was nothing. So they told Lord Chaitanya what happened. Lord Chaitanya said, wow, this is a big disaster. You should have told me. Your son died. So why didn't you tell me? And he said, well, I didn't want to disturb your kirtan and this and that. So he called, Srivas touched the dead body of his son. And he said, and because of his touch, he came back and he asked him. And then the son started to explain how, wow, I left my body during this kirtan. I'm on my way back home to Godhead. Why did you bring me back? Like that. So he was telling him that this is very auspicious like that. So anyway, this is what Lord Chaitanya said. That seeing Srivas Pandit's profound devotion, Sri Gaur Sundar said, how can I give up such company as this? With tears in his eyes, he continued, due to the love for me, I didn't even feel lamentation at the death of his son. How will I abandon their companionship? And so he said here, it was at that time when Mahaprabhu gave this benediction to Srivas. There will never be poverty in your house if you simply remain indoors, never even venturing out of your house. Whatever you require for your worship will come to your door. So just see, if you surrender to Krishna, you develop these qualities, you're not a loser. You're a gainer of everything. Why would these great personalities like the 6 Goswamis give up their great life that they had such comfort and pomp? They were living it like kings practically. They gave it up to live simply with torn loincloths that were just rags that were sewed together because they found a higher treasure, Krishna consciousness. And then because they have these good qualities, they want to they're compassionate for living entities. And these are the real leaders of society. They actually give hope to society that there's something more than just living here for this paltry sense gratification. And then you just die and suffer and you come back again. Whereas we can go back home, back to the spiritual world and really experience what happiness is. So, I don't know if you have any comments or questions, but we're a little bit over time, but anybody want to say anything? Yes, Prabhu. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The devotee brought up the point that of all the qualities, the most important quality is surrender. And then from that quality, all the other qualities develop it. But really that's like the quality that should be given the most emphasis. Not that the other qualities should be like shouldn't be consciously cultivated. But of all of them, that one's the most important. He says you can't be satisfied. I actually listened to that class in preparation for my class. Yeah. Thank you. What's that?